chapter 17. And from verse 8. So after the water comes, then we have another issue. And while the people of Israel was still at Rephidim, the warriors of Amalek attacked them. I guess who Amalek is? He's the grandson of Esau. Remember Esau? Esau and Jacob, brothers, twin brothers, didn't get along too well. Esau chased Jacob off, was going to kill him. Anyway, so these people, they're like cousins, and he's like, oh great, they're out of Egypt, out of slavery, let's go take them out now. And so he attacks them. And Moses commanded Joshua, who's obviously a decent warrior, he said, choose some men to go out and fight the army of Amalek for us. Tomorrow I will stand at the top of the hill, holding the staff of God in my hand. Let me ask you a question. Do you think the staff had any power? Was it a magic staff? No. But it seemed like that staff had some, maybe it was a physical, what do you call it, an object lesson? It was like a physical thing that people could see. Moses, you think Moses had the power to do anything? No, he's just a dude like all of us with a stick like any of us could grab. But yet, he says, I'm going to take that in my hand, and I'm going to hold the staff of God in my right hand. So Joseph did what Moses had commanded and fought the army of Amalek. Meanwhile, Moses, Aaron, and Hur climbed to the top of a nearby hill. I guess we're supposed to know who all these people are, but we only know a couple of them. We'll probably get to know them a little better. And as long as Moses, now get this, as long as Moses held up the staff in his hand, the Israelites had the advantage. So he's holding it up. And all the Israelites are starting to beat the Amalekites. But when he dropped his hand, the Amalekites gained the advantage. Oh man, Moses, poor Moses. He's got to hold this thing up the whole time. So Moses' arms soon became so tired he could no longer hold them. So he's like, it's starting to come down, and they're like, die. And he's like, no, Moses, come on, you can do it. So Aaron and Hur found a stone for him to sit on. Then they stood on each side of Moses, holding up his hands. So his hands held steady until sunset. Guys, I got to use the restroom. Nope. You hold on or just go where you are. And as a result, Joshua overwhelmed the army of Amalek in battle. After the victory, the Lord instructed Moses, write this down on a scroll as a permanent reminder and read it aloud to Joshua. I will erase the memory of Amalek from under heaven. Well, we still know it because maybe he was saying he's going to do such bad things, you're going to have to write it down because no one's going to remember this guy. Which is true because I don't think any of you remembered him until I just mentioned him. Right? Anyone remember Amalek from anything? Except for here, right? Okay, so Moses built an altar there and named it Yahweh Nissi, which means the Lord is my banner. He said, they have raised their fist against the Lord's throne, so now the Lord will be at war with Amalek's generation after generation. Yikes. Well, if you had known me as a younger guy, you would have known that, well, you might even be surprised that I'm a pastor, not because I did anything naughty, and we all do something, right? But I wasn't particularly bad. I just never wanted to be any kind of leader. Didn't want it at all. I wanted to be able to just kind of be somewhere, hang out, and have fun. I had, I only wanted to be as popular as my personality took me. I had no agenda. I didn't come into a group and say, hey, man, I'm going to be the most popular guy here. I'm going to be the funniest, the loudest, clearly the most attractive. No, it never happened like that. Clearly. I would walk into a room with strangers, and I like meeting strangers, so I would be pretty outgoing. But if someone said, "Hey, can you do maybe take a group of 5 and I'll just be a part of the group of 5." I think I've mentioned before, even in elementary school, I never wanted to be a team captain for even like the gym during gym class or anything. I don't even want to be that. Because if I had to be captain, that means I had to pick my team. And if I picked my team, I always felt bad for all the stinky players who never got picked first. I know what that feels like from time to time. And so if I was captain, I'd be like, "All right, Timmy." He's like, "What? Come on, Timmy, you're on my team." First pick? What? And they'd be excited. We would get hammered. We would lose so badly. And I'm extremely competitive. Sorry, I'm a little Italian. Well, when I use my son made an observation the other day. "Dad, you use your hands a lot when you talk." Like you just now seeing that? Yeah, anyway. So I used to hate being a team captain because I'd always lose by such a large margin, but all my teammates loved it. They didn't like losing, they just liked being picked for the first time ever, right away. And the teacher was like, "Man, Mike, that's so great." And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. I don't want to be captain anymore, okay? Can we just, no captain, no mas. I want to win." So as I got into high school, just wanted to hang out. So my teacher says, "Hey, Mike, you seem like you could be a leader." And I'm like, "Yeah, no." And the thing that they wanted to start me out with was some like spirit squad. I'm not going to be some spirit squad. What do you would think of? Do I look like a cheerleader to you? No. No, thank you. I got into college, and I was a theology major, my undergrad. We called it Bible major back then. Thing is you had to become part of the leadership team in some capacity by your junior year in college, or you couldn't be a religion major anymore. All right, whatever that means. So I went to the school I went to was kind of almost like a military, but it wasn't military. Okay, it was just fashioned after a military school. So each room had a room leader, and every 3 rooms had a 3-room leader, and then every hall had like a RA. So if by my junior year, I had to at least be a room leader. And I never wanted to be a leader, but the thing is, when you start to realize, and some of us have found this out, most of us here are old enough to figure this one out. If you don't step up sometimes, the leaders stink. Leaders can be selfish, they can be self-absorbed, they can be power hungry, they can be clueless. You can have a manager at work who's just horrible manager. You've had it. It's like, well, why don't you become like a shift lead, or why don't you, I just kind of want to show up, work my hours, get out, get paid, get out. But the thing is when you come home, you're complaining about the boss. So maybe you can work toward doing that. I'd just rather complain. I think that's how most of us are, And so when I was in college and I had a lousy room leader, it's like, dude, you're not my boss, man. You're my roommate. And you're just supposed to make sure that none of us die. All right? So, but sometimes you get somebody in there that was just like, "Hey, I'm in control here." No. And then, I worked night cleanup. I'll tell you this. Little side note. There was a time in high school I was working like night cleanup. College. I was working night cleanup. And my room leader was a real piece of work. And so I would prank on him. I would put like Scotch tape on the sink, so when he turned it on, I'd squirt him. I thought he deserved it. And And we would, I'd stick a cup of water on so when he opened the door, that kind of thing. It was mean. I know. I'm confessing. I'm not proud of myself for that. Maybe a little. But I'm not promoting that kind of thing. But then I was like, I need to become a room leader. Not only because I have to, but because I want to make my room fun. As leader, I can do that. By the time I figured it out, they were like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think you really match what we're looking for in a leader. I was like, what did I do wrong? Well, it's not so much what you did wrong. It's the way you walk. The way you carry yourself. Seem like you really think you're cool. Kind of like my dad. I think it's kind of a southern mountain walk, I don't know. I don't know how I walk, but evidently I walked where I thought, so. But then they had to make me a leader because either they had to take me out of that program or make me a leader. And since I wasn't doing anything against the rules, per se, that they knew about, everything was cool, right? So I finally got to be a room leader. I was like, yeah. Because I was able to set the tone. That's what leadership does. And a couple of times my roommates had the nerve to complain about me. Called me a hypocrite once. I was like, how dare you, hypocrite? Occasionally, but I'm the leader. I got to tell you what you're supposed to be doing. I don't necessarily have to do it. I'm the leader. Nah, not cool. You see, in reality, the thing that makes you a good leader, and this is what all of us probably figured out by now, is you have to be a good servant. If you're a leader because you want to control, if you're a leader because you want to rule, if you're a leader because you want to make this thing better because it's all messed up, and I want to make sure I'm going to whip these people in shape, you're going to make a lousy leader. But if you're a leader who's like, I want to serve these people in a way that makes them better. If you have a manager whose primary job is to make sure that you are successful, you're going to be a good manager. But if you're looking at them and saying, I'm going to make them make me look good, you are a bad manager. That's the thing about leadership, right? It's just like really the key is serving. I walk into a room, even now, I walk into a room. There's nothing in me that says, okay, I need to take charge at all. But I know when I'm here at the church, I'm the pastor. So I know I'm the default leader. I didn't have to impress anybody with my leadership skills. Oh, he's the pastor. People walk in and say, who's the pastor? Oh, he is. They'll come straight to me and talk because I'm the pastor by default. Now, what I do with that depends on how you all probably will respond to me. And the thing is and we're all human, but what I try to do as a pastor is just like, all right, Lord, how do I minister? How do I make the church successful? How do I make the volunteers successful? How can I help do those kinds of things? Because it's clearly not about me. It's not about you as individuals. If you find yourself at work and you're in a leadership position, it's not about you. Moses is clearly not trying to make this about him. He didn't want this at all. He was like, God, I can't talk right. I don't look right. They're after me because I killed somebody. I mean, yeah, we all make mistakes. Very reluctant, but he went in. And these people are brutal. The first test they come up, we talked a little bit about last week, the first test they come up with, they're just leaving and they're so excited, man. We're finally out of this pit, out of Egypt that made us slaves. They were brutalizing us. Oh my gosh, it was horrible. And they camp out next to the water and they're like, oh, this is so great. And then Pharaoh starts after them. Oh, great. Oh, wait. Where's Moses? Moses, what are you doing? Will you bring us out here and die? Man, we were in Egypt, at least we were alive, and now you brought us out here, now we're going to slaughter us, we're going to be dead on the beach. Moses is like, well, just relax. All right, God, what am I doing? How do I do this? You ever been in a situation when someone, maybe it's your kids, maybe you're at work, and maybe you're a boss and stuff like that, and people are kind of freaking out because something's happening, and you're like, and you're like, help, because you don't know what's going on either. You're just trying to do your job. Moses is like, God, didn't he just do all of that amazing stuff? Brought us out. So just be still. Relax. God will take care of it. And he starts freaking out on God. Moses is like, what do I do? Just take the staff, put it on the water. That's it. That's all I got to do. Take the stick, stick it in the water. I'm done. Yep. All right. Whoa! Hey, Moses, way to go. Yeah, Moses. Boom, 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 boom. You know, they celebrate across the water. They sing, they dance. Moses is feeling pretty good now. Like, wow, we had really good experience. Me as a leader, I led them across the water. Woo! Wow, Lord, okay, maybe I am the right person for this job, because that's pretty amazing. I mean, I've never seen that happen before. All I did was stick a stick in the water and boom. And then it's like a week later, they find themselves thirsty. Coming up, there's no water, and what happens? They start like yelling again. It's like, plagues, parting of the sea. And now you're dying of thirst? Like, really? Like, and now they're ready to kill Moses. They're going to stone him. Holy mackerel, people. What is it like? It's like, Lord, what am I supposed to do? He's like, all right, just take that staff. The stick again? Yep. Take the stick, just raise it up. And then hit the rock. Oh, kind of like the water? The water separated, now the water's just do it as I say. All right. You say so. Whoa! Moses! Whoa! So you see, the thing is as a leader, things can be pretty good or things can be pretty bad. But not once did you see the people putting Moses on their shoulder, carrying him around, Moses. No, it's more like, hey, thanks, Moses. It's not until things get bad that as a leader you start getting, doo-dooed on. Why in the world would anyone want to be a leader? Moses is like, I didn't want this. Now I've got it. This is what God's called me to. I got to do this, and Lord, just give me strength, because these people are fickle. So they're celebrating again. They're drinking it up, and that's amazing, right? All the water they could even imagine, pouring out of a rock. Insane. Once again, Moses, what's Moses doing? Just trying to obey God. People, nobody's doing anything special except for God. Over and over and over again, the things that are happening can clearly only be God. So now, they have food, lots of water. And now some bonehead's coming over to kill them. Amalek, coming over. All right, guys, we got to go to war. We're not warriors. We're stinking slaves. What do we know about war? Joshua. Huh? Come up here. You're going to lead them into battle. Ah, crud. I don't want to go to battle. I don't know how to battle anything. I know how to make bricks. Nah. Go out there. You're going to do this. And Joshua gathers the men around, gets some weapons, evidently that the Egyptians probably gave them. And they're like, all right, let's do this. So they start fighting. Moses is just up there like, okay, God told me to put my arms up with the staff. And every time he's like, oof, man, it's like they're getting beat every time his arms go down, and all people are looking at him and like, wait, what's going on? Oh, win. Lose, win. Lose. It's like, holy mackerel, this is nuts. People are just watching, and they're like, oh, looking at Moses, looking at the people, looking at the war, look at the Moses. Moses is like, I can't keep doing this. Hur's like, yeah, you got to. We got to do it. So he's holding up the stick, and it's like, and then Aaron comes, and Hur comes, and then like he sit him down. He's like, oh, that's nice. They eventually win. What, Moses? Wow, all right, good job, Aaron and Hur. Moses is like, seriously? You're gonna, good job, staff. Way to go, stick. And so they celebrate. Until they get thirsty again. See, if you keep reading, they come up to an oasis. And they're like, whew, just in time. I am so parched. My last glass of water. Now I can go to the oasis. I was waiting for that last sip because I knew it was going to, where's the oasis? They go to the oasis, and guess what? The water's bad. Called it bitter. Don't know exactly why it was bitter. They don't know that, I don't know, Giardia. I don't know what was in it, but it was bad. And the people are like, oh, Moses, you loser. What are you doing? You brought us out here to die and come up. And they're like, 2 million people are like, bah, 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 bah. Moses is like, oh my goodness. Lord, what am I supposed to do now? I mean, this is the oasis. You brought us here. It's like, hey, Moses, see that wood there? You guys seen any theme here? See that wood right there? Throw it in the water. What? Throw the wood in the water, Moses. Now drink it. All right, I'm sorry. People are waiting. It's good. Hey! They all go down and drink it from the water, from a piece of wood. So it purifies it. So what do we start worshiping the wood? No. Worship the stick? No. Worship Moses? No. Worship God. Because it's really clear, guys, that none of these things have any power in them. It's pretty amazing how people and cultures could take a piece of wood and carve something out of it. This looks godly. And they bow down to it like it's going to do something. It's like, you just created that. How do you think it's going to do something? But yet there's healing powers that God presents. Even, and maybe it was a type of wood that actually had something in it that was a disinfectant. I have no idea. He just threw the wood in there. But every time something bad happens, the blame game. We call it a scapegoat. And it's really kind of interesting how all of this stuff starts to move toward this idea of God and Jesus coming to save all of humanity. See, did you know that in the Old Testament, the sacrificial system, which is still to come in this part of the Bible, in Leviticus, they start doing sacrifices to God. Before then, there was never anything about that. It was always, they would share a meal with God. But now it's going to be this big ornate thing. And every time they would do it, on the Day of Atonement, they would release what they call the scapegoat. That symbolized carrying the sins of the people, and it would run out into the wilderness. They would make a sacrifice to God, but it was the living goat that ran out to carry the sins away from the people. Interesting, right? And so you think about, what's a scapegoat? What do we call a scapegoat? We call a scapegoat someone who's getting blamed. There's a situation in Scripture, and maybe I'll do a sermon on it sometime, but Achan. You guys remember the story of Achan, or any of you know the story of Achan? In the camp, they're still meandering around, and Achan becomes, he's like high. God says, don't take anything from these people. Don't take any goods, don't take any money, don't take any gold or silver. And it comes to find out they're whittling it down, and it comes to Achan's family. Because they keep losing. The armies of Israel are losing. Because there must be sin in the camp. There must be someone to blame. Someone has to be the cause of this problem. So it comes out, they finally found Achan. They dug up something under his tent. It's like, what made you? Anyway, killed them all. Achan and his family. And they all celebrate. Now we're going to win. See, this is the human condition, is we want somebody to die or to pay a price. And it used to be that, like, if it rains too much, there's flooding. All right, so the gods must be angry. So we have to take someone out. We got to find the culprit of why the God, because clearly God's not mad at me, and it's usually the more popular people that God's okay with. It's that weird loser over there that's probably the problem. He kind of seems shifty to me. I don't like the way he looks at me. He smells funny. I bet you he's the problem. I bet you he's the problem. If something's not going right, we look for someone to blame. If it's in our marriage, it's clearly that one. Can't be me. If we're at work, it could be several people besides us. If it's a church, well, I mean, that person's woohoo. I'm sorry, I'm not pointing. I did, but fortunately, no, I'm not sorry, I was kind of in your direction. I wasn't in any way insinuating anything like that. I'm just saying, okay, over here. That's safe, right? Over here. It must be that person over there. It's got to be some. It's like, no. We don't need a scapegoat. Jesus was called the scapegoat. You see, he took all the sin of humanity, right? And he paid the ultimate price. He's like, listen, stop scapegoating. Stop blaming everybody. Stop seeing. I love you so much that I am going to be the ultimate scapegoat. You poured all on me. I'm going to die. I'm going to break the power that sin and death have over you, because the power of sin is that thing that blames everybody else but yourself. The power of sin is self-preservation in such a way that I have to make life whatever that means for everybody around me so I can survive. I got to do. If that makes them miserable, so be it. I have to survive. And Jesus is like, this is not the way of God. God says, you need to serve others. You don't just serve yourself. Right? Now, some of us are, service is okay. We like to serve. But there's always that line. All of us need to be able to see ourselves in some way, because God's always going to put us in some way and somehow. Maybe it's just because we're believers and we have faith. That now God's like, I want you to lead somebody else into this place of faith. I want you to take charge of yourself in such a way that you show this person how much you care and love because of what I've done for you. Am I making sense? Because that might be, you if you have a pet, you lead the pet, right? Or does the pet lead you? Sometimes the pet leads us, right? They have it better than our kids had it or whatever. Sometimes people are abusive to their pets because that's the only thing they feel like they have any control over, and they're mean to them because people are mean. They're mean to their pets because people are mean to them as people. And God's like, this is wrong. This is not the way I want you to. So even though you may not lead anything else in life, I want each of you to think of somebody in your sphere that you can lead to me. I want all of you to take that one position of leadership and say, I want at least one person that I have a relationship with, that I can grow in that relationship with, so that I can point them to God and to have a relationship with God. This is what they call the Great Commission. This is what Jesus has called all of us to do. So now some of us are natural. We just love to lead. We have no problem with it. And others of us are like, I don't want anything to do with it. Nothing. I don't want to create any ripples. No ripples. Hate ripples. I want to be just smooth as glass. And not the old type of glass that has bubbles in it. I just want the new glass, super smooth and strong. Just what I want. And God's like, but that's not what I've called you to. I want you to create a few ripples. I'm not talking about a tsunami here. I'm talking about a few ripples in someone else's life to make an impression that says, I am a child of God, and I want you to be a child of God. So that means you have to love them. And if you love somebody, it's going to create ripples. Because you're not just going to do everything that they say, and you're not going to make them do everything you want. Either way. You follow? This is the thing that God's called us to do. He hasn't called us to a life of leisure, a life of just chill, a life of just, I just want to be, just live and let live. That's what I say. He's like, well, someone else didn't get the memo. Well, that's the way it is. Yeah. Second service will start in 30 seconds. All right. Well, that's good timing because I'm